King David's cry for mercy, Psalm 6. Psalm 6 is one of Scripture's most intimate prayers, revealing the raw and vulnerable heart of David, the shepherd king. Burdened by suffering, guilt, and the need for God's mercy, this psalm speaks to every believer who has felt overwhelmed by their frailty and desperate for deliverance. Today, we approach this ancient prayer slowly and thoughtfully, uncovering its themes and allowing its truths to resonate in our hearts and guide our spiritual growth. Let us walk together through Psalm 6, a journey from despair to hope. King David kneels by the Ark of the Covenant, his head bowed low, the harp resting nearby as if recently set aside, as he sings out, "O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am weak. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are vexed. My soul is also sore vexed, but thou, O Lord, how long?" Psalm 6 captures the heartfelt prayer of King David as he seeks God's mercy amidst his suffering and despair, ultimately transitioning to a place of renewed confidence in God's faithfulness and justice. These verses unveil David's utter dependence on the mercy of God. As a mighty king, he could have clung to his own power or achievements, but here we see his humble acknowledgement of frailty. David understands the weight of divine holiness. In his plea, there is no attempt to justify himself, no presumption of entitlement, only the genuine cry of a broken heart seeking healing and restoration. Anguish permeates his soul. There is vulnerability in David's words, a man wholly exposed before a righteous and compassionate God. Imagine the trembling hands of David clasped in prayer. His voice quivers as he utters, "How long, O Lord?" The golden glow of the ark illuminates the room, symbolizing the hope found in God's presence. In these opening verses, we are reminded of the necessity of coming before God with humility. David's plea is a model for us, acknowledging our weaknesses, confessing our fears, and trusting in the mercy of a holy yet compassionate God. Meditate on the words, "Have mercy upon me, O Lord," and consider where you need God's healing touch in your life. David paces in his dimly lit royal chambers late at night. His face is streaked with tears, and his eyes are weary from countless sleepless nights. The text of verses 4-7 appears on screen, the narration now reflecting the deep emotion of David's prayer. David's expression transforms from despair to a flicker of hope as he contemplates God's faithfulness and justice. "Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. O save me for thy mercy's sake. For in death there is no remembrance of thee. In the grave who shall give thee thanks? I am weary with my groaning. All the night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. Mine eye is consumed because of grief. It waxeth old because of all mine enemies." This section of the psalm is David's lament laid bare. His anguish is evident, not simply from the physical toll of his tears, but from the spiritual weight he carries. His grief transcends personal pain. His deepest fear is being distanced from the God he loves. The mention of death in verse 5 reflects the cultural importance of praising God in life. David's words are both a cry for deliverance and a plea to remain in fellowship with the Lord. Desperation defines this portion of the psalm. The weariness in David's voice speaks to the emotional and physical exhaustion of prolonged suffering. Picture David filling his sleepless nights with pacing, his royal robes disheveled, and his tear-soaked pillow evidencing his sorrow. Beyond the walls of the palace, the city he's called to lead is shrouded in uncertainty, yet his greatest concern is his spiritual connection to God. What does it mean to lament before God? David's grief and his groaning, far from reflecting a lack of faith, display the depth of his trust in God. To cry out in despair, trusting that he hears, is a profound act of worship. Reflect on the times you felt broken before God and how he met you in that place. The first golden rays of dawn break over Jerusalem. David stands tall beside a window, gazing toward the heavens. The text of verses 8-10 appears on screen, narrated with confidence and renewed strength. "Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, for the Lord hath heard the voice of my weeping. The Lord hath heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. Let all mine enemies be ashamed and sore vexed. Let them return and be ashamed suddenly." Psalm 6 captures the heartfelt prayer of King David as he seeks God's mercy amidst his suffering and despair, ultimately transitioning to a place of renewed confidence in God's faithfulness and justice. In these final verses, we witness a dramatic shift. Gone is the trembling, tear-streaked David of the earlier sections. In his place stands a man confident in God's mercy and justice. David's assurance does not come from seeing his enemies defeated or his circumstances resolved. Rather, it is rooted in the unshakable knowledge that God has heard his prayer. This is the power of faith. Even when the storm rages on, the believer's heart finds peace in God's promises. The tone changes to one of victory. Though David's external situation may remain the same, the hope in his heart transforms despair into triumph. Imagine David lifting his face toward the sky, the first light of dawn banishing the shadows of the night. His posture is firm, his tears dried, and his prayer now carries the strength of unwavering trust in God. David's confidence challenges us. Do we trust in the faithfulness of God even when our fears remain unresolved? Meditate on the power of simply knowing that God hears you. Imagine the peace this truth can bring to your life, no matter what trials you face. Psalm 6 reveals a remarkable truth. Even in our lowest moments, God is near. David's transparency, his cry for mercy, his lament, and his ultimate trust reminds us that prayer is both a refuge for the weary and a bridge to hope. Like David, we too can place our struggles in God's hands, trusting Him to hear and respond. If this psalm resonates with your heart, take these next steps today. Reflect on Psalm 6, feel its themes personally. Pray with honesty just as David did. God desires your whole heart, even the broken pieces. Share this video with someone who needs encouragement in God's mercy. Subscribe to our channel for more journeys through Scripture, uncovering timeless truths that guide today's life. This video emphasizes Bible study and intends to become a thoughtful tool for Christian learners, guiding them closer to the deeper truths of prayer, faith, and God's mercy.